What's up, everybody? Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. We are live on YouTube. My name is Harrison Graham. Back with you. Plenty to discuss. It is Mock Draft Monday, so we'll have a fresh mock draft for you guys. Take a look at some other news and rumors, plus take your questions as well. So we got a lot to get to here today. We'll let the audience pour in a little bit, then we'll get this thing rocking. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Cullen, we are back. We took Thursday off last week, March Madness opening day. I had to go out of town on Friday, so we decided to just knock out some videos instead of going live. But back on our normal live schedule, and 1 month from today, the NFL Draft kicks off, so we're getting closer.
A lot of exciting stuff is right around the corner, as you mentioned, and yeah, you nailed it. I mean, hopefully you had a good time in Abilene, your hometown. So
did get rear-ended, but everybody's fine.
Yes.
Not too much damage to the car either, but other than that, did get to spend some time with the fam, so that was good.
That's like the second time that's happened to you in like a year, right? Didn't you get rear-ended like not too long ago?
My car got broken into a few years ago, but no, it's the only time I've been rear-ended, luckily. Recently, I should say. A few years back in my old car, I got rear-ended.
Was there not one guy? I'll ask you after the show, but
it wasn't me. Someone else may have.
Yeah.
Someone else may have. But no, everyone's fine. That's all good. But yeah, we're back.
regardless.
No, I got rear-ended, Alex, a.k.a. the driver behind me hit
Yes.
me. It wasn't.
Clarify.
In other words, it wasn't my fault.
No, there he's a responsible driver.
But pregnant wife and a 2-year-old. I'm not ramming other cars, I'll tell you that. But luckily, we weren't hit too hard, and that's all good. So we are good to go. We got Alex in San Antonio. Kidda says it was a Packers fan. I didn't ask their fandom. Maybe I should have. R.I.P. Chuck Norris in the chat. R.I.P. Chuck, man. Death does remain undefeated, even for Chuck Norris. So, you know, that's how it goes. It comes for us all. Steve in Los Angeles. Let's see. We got David in Elgin, Illinois. Bentonville, Arkansas is where Riley's watching from. Shout out to everybody tuning in, including Benjamin, who sent in a super chat. We'll get to that here in a few moments. Go vote on the live poll as well. Are the Bears a top 10 team in 2026? Yes or no? Also, give me your thoughts on this, chat. Should the Bears sign Christian Wilkins? Oh, you know what? That did happen. I am an idiot. Some guy did rear-end me like a year or two ago.
I almost paused because I remember you telling the story.
Yeah, you know what? That did happen. I've totally put that. That did happen. Now, that was not on a highway, so there really wasn't hardly any damage that time. And, yeah, long story short, a guy rear-ended me, didn't have insurance, and I was just like, this is going to be a disaster. And so I looked into pursuing something, but I didn't because there basically wasn't any damage anyway. So I was just like, yeah, I totally forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me of that glorious moment. But this one, there's a little more damage. I'm probably going to have to get some things fixed, but the car's running at least. So,
long story short, you're a safe driver, but just people just for whatever reason are not.
Yeah, I've had some bad luck. I totally forgot about that. Wow. Yeah, I'd say good times, but it wasn't. Christian Wilkins, yes or no? Yes or no?
I can actually update this as the live poll.
Let's see.
I'll update it.
Tim says sign if cheap. Gene says no. Jeff says sign him. We're all smoking that rear end pack. Yes if cheap. F no to Wilkins. Yeah, there's a lot swirling around that situation. We'll talk about it a little bit more in our first segment. Look, if you're talking like a vet minimum or cheap 1-year deal and his foot's progressing nicely, obviously I think the key thing there is you have to do your research on what the hell happened in Vegas because that still appears to be a very vague situation. And, you know, we know Ryan Poles values character and the locker room being in a good place. So last thing you want to do is bring in someone who's going to, you know, ruffle some feathers in a way that you don't want. So be interesting. He's certainly a talented player. Guys like this typically get opportunities. So Now the Bears have signed 3 defensive tackles. Are they going to sign another one? Contavious Street and who's the other cheap one they
James
signed?
Lynch.
James Lynch aren't guys that like you're financially tied to, so it's not like you couldn't. But I would guess the Bears would not make this move, but I'm curious to see what his market is. His agent claims 26 teams have shown interest, which I think that's an exaggeration, but
That was very it gave similar vibes. Did you see the Vanderbilt graphic that they tweeted out about their pro day?
no, I didn't.
So Vanderbilt tweeted out that 31 NFL teams were in attendance for their pro day.
Okay.
Again, just very random specific number, and they like tweeted out a graphic with all the logos, and they were only missing like one team.
Who was the team? Do we even know?
We do know.
Who?
It has something to do with your boy,
Oh, the Jags?
the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, they don't believe in the draft process.
No, they don't.
They believe in the draft, but not the draft process.
Yeah, they believe in, hey, you are who you are on tape.
Yeah. We don't want to get to know you at all.
Sure. Yeah, I mean.
Super chat here. Bear down for life. FGB, bear down, and go Illini. Illinois in the Sweet 16. Illinois-Houston's going to be a good game, I think.
I very much, hand up accountability, I underestimated Illinois.
I did too. I was kind of down on Illinois going into the tournament, but they've looked good. Houston's looked good too, so that's going to be a good game. Houston a 3.5-point favorite, and that game's in Houston. It's at the Toyota Center.
Yes.
So that's a virtual home game. I would think some Illinois fans will travel, but I would guess that's going to be 75-80% Houston fans.
In terms of all the Sweet 16 matchups, that one might be one of the more blockbuster.
That game in Arizona-Arkansas, I'm excited for. I kind of think Arizona might work Arkansas.
Oh, don't sleep on the Razorbacks.
Oh, I'm not. I just Arizona doesn't play, or Arkansas doesn't play defense. So
no, but they could score with anybody in the country.
They can. Arizona's a different animal that they're facing, but Darius Acuff, if he's cooking, they can beat anybody.
That's fair.
St. John's Duke, I'm excited for.
Be a good one. Tennessee, Iowa State's low-key a sleeper.
I don't think there's a bad game at all. I mean, you got Nebraska, Iowa. Nebraska's first tournament wins have come this year. Iowa's in the Sweet 16 for the first time this century. The battle for the corn, if you will.
Yes.
I don't think there's a bad game. Michigan, Alabama will be interesting.
Michigan State, UConn will be a good one.
2 excellent coaches there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're starting to see the cream of the crop rise here. So we'll see who gets to the Final Four this next weekend.
Let us know down below. We're gonna let Posey Jones Super Chat load in here. Let us know down below. No cheating, honor system. Who do you guys have winning the national title from like when the brackets originally started?
Yeah, if you filled out a bracket, who'd you have winning it? I've got Arizona.
I had the Michigan Wolverines.
They're still alive. If you picked Florida, sorry.
Yeah, what a brutal way to go out.
Yeah, that was a rough end-of-game sequence. Tim says Arizona. Another Tim says Duke. We got Michael saying Purdue. Mr. Finster, Illinois. Michigan from Oliver. Purdue from Gene. UConn from Oliver. Kyle says Michigan. So does Omega.
Mason says he had St. Louis.
Must be a St. Louis fan. They crushed Georgia in the first round. They were hanging with Michigan for a while, then all of a sudden they were down 25. And Michigan was like, all right, let's
kind of woke up a little bit.
Let's kick it into another gear.
Yeah.
I was kind of like the Duke TCU game for 30 of 40 minutes. It's like, oh, this is going to be a barn burner. And then Duke got a couple friendly whistles, and then they went on a heater, and my boys went ice cold. But it was fun for 30 of 40 minutes. Posey says, I will say this, we don't have a very good defensive tackle rotation. If we don't address this in the draft, it will be a long season. Well, they didn't have a great defensive tackle rotation last year, and they had a good season, so I wouldn't necessarily say that. I do think the guys they've added are like prototypical Dennis Allen guys, like lighter, quicker defensive tackles. So, look, it might just be a depth approach at the position. You hope Dexter takes another step in this scheme. We'll see. I thought the second half of the year when Jarrett's knee got healthier, he was at least better against the run. But, yeah, I think long-term you very much have questions about, like, who your cornerstone pieces are there. We'll see if they add somebody in the draft. I think with the depth moves they've made in free agency, Colin, I think that's a little bit of a signal that they don't love this draft at defensive tackle, especially for what they're looking for. And to be honest, like, especially early, I don't love it either. I've kind of communicated that on this show for a couple weeks now. I don't love this draft at defensive tackle. I think there's better value in like
day
two, and even then, some of the guys I like aren't Dennis Allen prototypical guys. So like, they just may not draft one, and so don't be shocked if they don't. I think there's a few guys, if they're there, they would consider taking. Like, I think a Grayson Halton's a guy. I think the Benny guy from Michigan in the 3rd or 4th round, he's a lighter defensive tackle. DA likes guys who are like 290 to 310. He likes those lighter, quick, athletic penetrators, and a lot of the good D-tacks aren't really that. Like, Peter Woods is kind of that, but he hasn't had a great pre-draft process, so – would they consider him at 25? I think he would be in play there, but
you said what was the kind of range for?
Yeah, 290 to 310. He likes those guys who can penetrate and get upfield quickly. Halton checks that box. Benny checks that box. But like Dante Corleone's more of like a one tech. Dominique Orange. Leah Hunter was I think 318 at the combine, but like, I think he played heavier at Texas Tech. He probably played at 325, 330.
I'll say this, and I'm not saying Lee Hunter I would take at number 25 overall. Guy moves very well for his size.
He does. He does.
In terms of short area quickness. Daryl Jackson could be a potential target out of Florida
State. And look, there might be exceptions, right? Like if it's just too good of value, if a guy drops. What did Kristen Miller measure in at?
Let me look.
Let me see. I can pull it up too. Christian Miller.
He's probably going to beat me.
Let's see. 6'4", 321. So
a little bit on the bigger side. 33-inch arms.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do there. But I think I'll say this: the depth pieces they've added, they've at least covered off in their eyes. Like, hey, like unless the right guy's there, we're not going to force the issue at defensive tackle. Ryan Pohl said at the combine too, we think the edge group is better and deeper than the defensive tackle group. So I think they're probably going to add one edge, maybe a second defensive lineman, whether it be like another edge or a D-tack at some point. But don't be shocked if they look more secondary. Corner, safety, we obviously know they basically have no choice but to add there based on their roster construction right now. They could still add a linebacker. So we'll see. I got a mock draft coming up, so stay tuned.
They're kind of in a weirdly precarious spot because if neither Dylan Thieneman or Emmanuel McNeil-Warren don't follow them at 25, then either they trade down or they take somebody. And then if A.J. Halsey and I like Kamari Ramsey more than most, if those two for whatever reason are gone by the time 57 rolls around, they may have to wait till pick 89 to go get somebody. Now, there's still guys that they could draft, but it almost, if you're the Bears, if you don't love somebody at 25, like, do you dare just try to trade into the second round and then?
Yeah, I mean, I did that video yesterday, that kind of draft intel. It seems like breadcrumbs are starting to leak. It feels like three guys they really like, and it's smokescreen season, so maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But it feels like Thieneman, McNeil-Warren, and Zion Young are three players they really like that they would take at 25. And if they don't, does trade down become like the goal? Like, hey, like let's trade down, even if it's just like an even trade, even if we don't get the first round premium trade. Like, if the draft point chart, if we just come out even, we'll just take it. If that means we get an extra bullet in the chamber on day 2 or something like that. So I definitely think that is something that could be in play. Like, if you're a Bears fan, you're rooting for Ty Simpson to still be available at 25, and for some team to be willing to trade up and get that 5th-year option. I will say there seems to be a lot of, whether it's true or not, at least from a national media standpoint, there seems to be a lot of momentum for Ty Simpson going in the first round, so I'm not sure he even gets to 25. You got the Jets at 16, you got the Steelers at 21. Another team before the Bears at 25 could trade down with the team looking to get back in for Simpson. What did Dart go last year? 20, I think 25 actually. So like,
was he 25 or 26? One of the
somewhere in the late first round. Yeah. So it feels like at this point it's more likely than not Simpson's going to go in the first round. So if he's still on the board when the Bears pick at 25, that'd be ideal, because then maybe you find a team that's willing to trade up with you if the player you want isn't there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll
1 month
see.
from today.
We got Andrew. If Poles can just hit on 3 picks in the draft, Super Bowl.
Look, if you can hit on a couple defensive players and the offense continues to take steps forward with Caleb Williams and these skill guys, yeah, I mean, I think there's a world where you have one of the best offenses in the league. So then if your defense is league average compared to being like the 25th best defense last year, then, yeah, you're going to be right in the mix. So see what happens. More than anything else, I know people were like, oh, I don't know if the Bears have gotten better or worse. Well, a lot of them getting better next year is their young offensive core continuing to ascend, starting with the quarterback. If Caleb Williams takes a similar level of step from year 1 to year 2 and year 2 to year 3, you're going to be a lot better. This isn't like the Bills where it's like, well, Josh Allen, we know he's awesome. He's probably not going to get 15% better from year 6 to year 7. Doesn't mean he can't have a better year than last year, but at a certain point you kind of are what you are. But when you're a talented quarterback from year 2 to year 3, that's kind of a lot would argue the biggest jump a lot of quarterbacks make is that third year. So if you get that, then that's only going to make you that much better of a team.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. Obviously, that third year jump. A lot of times you have the cohesion with head coach and quarterback, especially play caller and quarterback, through those, first couple of years. Caleb obviously didn't have Ben Johnson his rookie year, but yeah, if Caleb takes a sizable jump in terms of, I don't know what it would look like statistically, but just clearly to a point of consistently down to down, because we know he can obviously big play, he can rise to occasions. He obviously had the whole fourth quarter comebacks, yada yada yada. If he's consistent, or play after play, drive after drive, it'll do wonders for this Bears.
Yeah, I mean, if the big play and clutch time ability remains and he just gets better on the random 2nd and 7s in the second quarter, you know what I mean? Just, again, to your point, the drive, the down-to-down moments, if he just gets 10% better in those spots, then, you've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league if that happens. So, because we know he's going to elevate in crunch time. He seems to embrace pressure. So if he can just be better over the course of 60-minute games, then you're cooking with gas. So
Logan says Harrison's guy Caleb Elarms Orr would be an excellent pick for the Bears in the 3rd/4th round.
I don't know if he sneaks into day 2. I think he's still probably more like 4th, 5th round. But you want to get faster and more athletic in your back 7 or really your entire defense, that's a guy that helps you do that. Should be a guy that can play on special teams as well. I like Caleb Elarms Orr. He also had his best year by far in college this year.
Tim
Horned Frogs
says, what if Jermon McCoy drops because of injury to number 25?
If the medicals check out, that's the guy I'd be willing to pull the trigger on at 25. I mean, I think he's he was a top 10 type of player before the injury. So I think the pre-draft process, and when you combine that and the season Mansour Delane had, I think he's more than likely than not CB1. He ran in the 4.3s today at the 40. That's kind of like the final box, I feel like, with him, right? Great season. The coverage numbers were there. True CB1 lockdown this year at LSU. Athletic testing has now matched that. I think his floor is probably Dallas at 12. But, if some offensive tackles go earlier than expected, maybe a guy like McCoy drops. Maybe certain teams are scared off. And if the Bears are comfortable with where he's at medically, again, BPA. And I do think corner is a position the Bears are monitoring closer than maybe Bears fans are. I like Tyreek Stevenson, and I still believe in his talent, but there's a reason they stuck with Nashawn Wright and then just let Nashawn Wright go, right? So I think there's clues here where it's I'm not saying there's a world Tyreek's not CB2, but I don't think we should just assume that Tyreek with a Terrell Smith coming off an ACL and Zay Frazier who missed year 1 with personal issues, that's your CB2 solution. At minimum, I would guess they're going to add competition there, if not a guy that might flat out replace Stevenson is CB2 if the right guy's available. So, and I think in this case, Jermod McCoy, I mean, who knows if he's there and you draft him, like, are you pivoting off Jalen in a year? That could be a possibility. So, I think corner in round 1 is at least a possibility.
I'll just kind of throw this out as a potential idea. NFL draft prospects that could fall, the Bears fans should keep an eye on.
I like that.
I feel like that could be something that, we just look at some guys that are, because again, most of the time that we're evaluating this draft class, it's usually guys that you would expect to be there at 25 or somewhat in reason. Could McCoy, like if he fell, like how would that look for the Bears if that were to come into play?
Jordan Tyson. We've already talked about him, but he could
be.
fall into
Yeah,
that
no,
bucket.
I mean, listen, if he falls right at 25 and you're, again, with the medicals, would you guys be interested in that segment? Yes or no? Let us know.
Draft fallers targets.
Yeah.
Type Y for yes. Type
It's a little
N
bit
for
of a
no.
mouthful, but we'll work on the title.
We're always looking for new segment ideas. All right, hit that like button. Let's get this thing rolling here. Appreciate everybody for being here. We got almost 500 people watching live, so if you haven't already, like the video, and we can dive into today's content. We got the latest news and rumors to dive into. We will take more questions as well. We will save Jose's for the mailbag. I think that's a good mailbag question. Sure. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Get your questions in there like Jose just did. And then it's Mock Draft Monday. Probably here on out, we'll unveil a new mock every Monday. And, by the way, we'll sneak in a Cullen Draft Crush, I assume. He's ready to go over there?
We can do it right now if we want to.
No, we'll wait. We'll teaser. We'll get to that.
I was ready Thursday.
Does that mean you have 2 ready today?
Just one.
Okay. All right. No.
Just the one today.
All right, here we go. Chicago Bears Now, Monday show. Let's get to it. Could the Chicago Bears explore signing veteran defensive tackle Christian Wilkins? There's an update there. We will dive into the latest on him. Plus, another Bears free agent has left Chicago. We'll take a look into that as well. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Bears Now by Chat Sports. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Okay, Christian Wilkins. Adam Schefter had an update over the weekend that Wilkins is still rehabbing that foot that was injured during his time with the Raiders and could sign with the team soon. Here's the full tweet from Schefter saying that he intends to play this season, but is still rehabbing that foot injury per his agent, David Mulugheta. So far, 26 teams have reached out and are waiting for Wilkins to be ready, and Wilkins is expected to have a new home as soon as he wants. Now, to me, when you hear random numbers like this, like 26 teams, 13 teams are interested. Like, to me, that's agent talk. And 26, so 26 of 31 teams, because we know the Raiders aren't bringing him back. I don't know if that's true for, like, all pros, much less a guy who's hardly played in the last year and a half. So I think that I'm very skeptical of that. Now, I do think some teams have probably poked around and checked with his agent and done some research on his situation and could be interested. Are the Bears one of those teams? I don't really know, because there are concerns here. Number one, what is the status of his foot injury? I've kind of jumped into that camp of trenches players with foot injuries. I'm kind of scared off. Tyree Wilson, fellow Raider, I was a big fan of his coming out of Texas Tech 3 years ago. Had a chronic foot problem, has not been good in the NFL. Caleb Banks, I'm kind of out. It's a little too risky for me. Christian Wilkins has been battling this thing for a while now. And then you've got, on top of that, not knowing what his foot situation is, there were some wild just allegations out there and just rumors about what exactly went down in that Raiders locker room, because they cut him for, I do think a lot of it was the foot situation, but I don't think that was the full story. Now, Jordan Renan, Giants ESPN reporter, was basically asked, like, hey, could the Giants reunite Christian Wilkins with Dexter Lawrence? They were college teammates at Clemson. He said this on a podcast the other day. He said, I mean, whatever happened in that locker room, I don't know exactly what it was, but on top of the injury part, I think it just sounds like that's going to be a tough one for him to overcome and for a team to want to be able to bring him in the locker room. And look, we know how much Poles values character in the locker room. Ben Johnson said it when he first stepped into House Hall. Nothing's more important than the locker room. So if they have any concerns at all that this guy could disrupt the vibes and the momentum of this team, I do not think the Bears would sign him for that reason alone. Now, you're talking about a position where the Bears could certainly improve at. Now, they have signed 3 defensive tackles, Neville Gallimore, Kentavious Street, James Lynch. Gallimore is the only guy they gave real guaranteed money to, so it's not like they couldn't bring in Wilkins. And also, I don't really know how much he would actually get on the open market. I think he'd be fairly cheap. So, I do think this is a guy worth looking into if you're the Chicago Bears, looking into that situation, trying to gather information, on his medical, which you would give him a physical anyway and have your doctors look at him, so that's not a concern. You could get that info pretty easily. But 2, and most importantly, what's he like as a teammate? Do people like him? It seemed like when he was with the Dolphins, he was this kind of happy, funny guy that got along with everybody, but whatever he did in Vegas apparently made a lot of people uncomfortable. So, again, I'm not going to speculate what that was, but there are all kinds of rumors out there. I would absolutely do my research, right? Like, this could be a guy you get for the vet minimum. No harm, no foul. But, again, I would guess the Bears pass. They have already signed 3 defensive tackles. And, honestly, again, we don't know what the foot situation is. He's played in 5 games in the last 2 years, and he's going to be 30 years old. Is he going to come back and be a high-level player? I don't know. Could he help the Bears? I do think that's possible, but my guess would be the Bears pass. I would do research into it and see, A, what his market is, and B, what the situation was in Vegas. But if you're uncomfortable at all, the juice probably isn't worth the squeeze in this situation. Should the Bears sign Christian Wilkins? Type S for sign or type P for pass. I'm open to a cheap 1-year deal if you feel comfortable with whatever that situation was, but if it's anything more than that, or if you aren't comfortable, which I don't have access to that information, you probably do pass in this situation, which is unfortunate because he's a good player. Okay, we will continue in a moment, but the playoff push is heating up and tournament hoops are here. And there's no better way to cash in if you're right on the high-flying hoops action than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Every bucket, every dime, and every win means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. And with their brand new Team Picks market, you can now pick game winners, totals, and spreads on top of the player pick markets on top of the player picks you already know. So cash in if you're right during all of the clutch baskets, slam dunks, and Cinderellas this spring with Team Picks on Prize Picks. Prize Picks has Team Picks here in my state. I downloaded the app and I've been picking winner spreads and totals throughout the madness. Whether it's battles for playoff seeding or tournament hoops, you can make all your picks right here on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today. Pick your first game winner, spread, or total as the playoff push rolls on, and get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup with code CLNS. That's code CLNS to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Okay, some Bears free agency news. I put a YouTube short out earlier, but I'll expand on it here. Travis Homer heading to Pittsburgh on a 1-year deal. Adam Schefter had that scoop earlier today. Not surprising. You know, the Bears have brought back a slew of special teamers in free agency, and so, you know, we're into week 3 of free agency now. I don't think if they wanted Homer back, he'd be back, is kind of my point. And I know Richard Hightower loves him, and the Bears have valued him, but he did deal with some injuries last year. And if your main role is on special teams, availability is kind of the key, right? There's a reason they cut Eamon Ogbongbemiga. It's not because he's not a good special teams player. It's because he missed half the season. If you're not a core player on offense or defense, and your job is, you know, on those dozen plays per game on special teams, and you miss half the year, Travis Homer, I think, missed 7 or 8 games last year, you're probably going to get replaced, and that is what's happening here. Now, as far as the running back position goes, even though Travis Homer didn't play much, he was like a safety net, like, hey, like if a couple injuries pop up, he can eat up some snaps if you need him to. I do wonder if the Bears add a running back at some point, because I think your 1-2 punch is likely in place for this year with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. There's been some speculation maybe you'd pivot off of Swift, like I threw out the Devon Achane idea, but that seems unlikely. But still, RB3 is typically a special teamer. Roschon Johnson's played some of special teams, but guess what? Kind of like those other guys I mentioned, Travis Homer, Eamon Ogbongbemiga, injuries. He's been hurt a lot. And if your primary role is special teams, can you trust that guy to be your RB3? Britton Brown, I like the way he runs, but is he a guy that you can play on special teams a lot? I'm not really sure. He seems more like an RB4 practice squad type of player like he was last year. I would love him as my practice squad back. Call him up if you're hurt at running back like they did in the Bengals game. Have him be RB2 for a week if you're thin. But your RB3 needs to be a guy that can, A, play on special teams, and B, give you some third down snaps, catch the football, pass protect, all that stuff. So these are some guys that could be out there that could check some of those boxes. Raheem Mostert, could he be like a change of pace back at his age? I don't know if he's playing special teams, but he's intriguing. Antonio Gibson, good kick returner, catches the ball well out of the backfield, missed last year with an injury, could be a guy you get for cheap. Austin Eckler has been a good third down back his entire career. He's also kind of old and cooked, so not sure if he fits that bill anymore. You got guys like Miles Sanders. Dare Ogunbowale with Houston, a really good special teams player. That could be a guy that makes sense. Amir Abdullah can do some of that stuff. Zamir White. Ronnie Rivers is a guy that McVay loved in L.A., so that intrigues me. Alexander Madison, former Viking, knows the division well. Michael Carter. So there's guys out there you could bring in that shouldn't cost much money if you want to bring in a more reliable RB3 than a guy like Roschon Johnson. But also don't rule out the draft, right? If there's a guy that Ben Johnson thinks could be part of a 1-2 punch long term, they could go in that direction. Or late day 3, you got 2 7th-round picks right now. You could throw a dart kind of like with Kyle Monangai last year that could come in, be a depth piece, and play on special teams. So I do think an addition is coming at some point at running back. Probably wouldn't happen until either during the draft or after. There's no reason to sign one now, because then if you love a guy in the draft that falls to you and draft him, it's like, well, why did you sign that other guy? But keep an eye on that as we get closer to April's draft. Should the Bears add another running back? Type Y for yes or type in for no. Give me your thoughts on that. I think adding another one makes sense. The Roschon thing, I think, has run its course. He just can't stay healthy. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. If you made it to the end of the video, appreciate you very much. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and bear down. All right, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Get your questions answered here on the show. We will dive into your mailbag. I know a couple Super Chats have flown in, so we will get to those as well. But we know not everybody can or wants to donate. But use the hashtag Bears. We appreciate everybody for being here, and we will get to as many questions as we can.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure to grab the link for that. But in terms of the draft, I know somebody. I may know a guy that could fit on special teams as a third down back.
Is that your draft crush today?
Or, well, that was an old one. But
who was it?
Jamari Taylor.
Jamari Taylor with the Virginia?
Yeah. He's got experience both on punt and kickoff in terms of special teams experience. So.
Okay. I don't hate that. Where do you think he goes? Like early, mid-day 3?
He's one of those where, like, I think he's more of like a 5th round-ish talent. He may fall just because of his size and he's going to be older, his size, and then also the fact that he's just had a lot of reps in college. But trying to draft like a, third down special teams back.
Someone asked what team is Ian Wheeler on. I think he might be in the UFL, but I think his NFL days are over. That ACL, he did not, at least last spring or last training camp and preseason, that speed and explosiveness from the year before felt shot. Now, extra year removed, maybe a team brings him in, but I don't think the Bears will be that team. Yeah. And he's qualified for med school, so it's probably the better career path for him at this point.
Fair enough. Use those hashtag Bears questions. I just refreshed the links, so make sure you guys use those if you guys want to get in on this mailbag.
It's got to be hashtag Bears or Super Chat. If you ask a question and it's not via Super Chat or doesn't have the hashtag Bears in your comment, our software will not pick it up. So those are the 2 ways to get in.
Could be draft questions. Could be, should the Bears sign this free agent?
Trade ideas.
Could be just thoughts on the 2026 season, like look ahead. Whatever questions you want here to answer, just make sure you throw hashtag Bears or Super Chat if you want to get in on the mailbag.
Fire away. Fire away.
Yeah. Just got to get these loaded in.
All right, a few more coming in. We got those super chats as well. Got Jose and Alex, who we'll get to in the mailbag.
Yes.
Got Tom, #Bears coming in. There's another super chat we'll get to. Appreciate the 20.
Oh, speaking of this, I almost completely forgot that we were doing this. Shout out, I don't know if you're watching, to Mason.
Oh, yeah, you told me about this.
I got recognized out in public from Bears Now.
So Mason, a Bears Now subscriber, ran into Cullen at a bar watching some March Madness on Friday.
Yes.
It
was a very humbling experience.
And he said, yo, what's good? So
yeah.
Shout out to Mason. I would have been there if I wasn't, probably at least, if I wasn't traveling. So
yes.
If you're watching, Mason, appreciate the support.
Yeah. No, listen, told me to pass along the message that obviously you're great at your job. And, yeah, I know a lot of you aren't residing in Dallas, Texas, but on the off chance that you see me in public, feel free to let me know that you guys watch Bears Now.
Appreciate it.
Or Harry, too.
Appreciate it.
Probably more recognizable him. So shout out to Mason.
No, Cullen's the face of this channel.
No, definitely not.
No, we appreciate that. And it was really humbling when I went to Chicago and people would recognize me. Got to get back there soon. So appreciate everybody being here. I think we got enough questions loaded up. Got a few super chats.
Just wanted to make sure we shout out Mason. He says,
Mason, you're a real one, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
He normally doesn't whatchamacallit, comment most of the time. He just kind of watches.
No worries.
Hey,
I'll get DMs sometimes, be like, hey, never really comment, been watching the show for years. So we appreciate any and everyone that watches the show, regardless of the level of participation. All right, here we go. Mailbag time, and then we will get into Mock Draft Monday coming up in about 15 minutes. So let's continue this live edition of Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. Let's kick off this Bears Now mailbag with mock season. It is mock season. #Bears. Could the Bears draft a corner in round 1 if Thiedemann and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren are gone? Yeah, and I think that's a good qualifier because I don't know for sure, but it does feel like Thiedemann, McNeil-Warren, those are two guys the Bears would heavily consider at 25 if they are available, but both could be gone, especially Thiedemann, the way his pre-draft process has gone. Now, to me, these are the top 5 corners in this draft this year. You've got Mansour Delane out of LSU. I think with his season he had in his pre-draft process, to me, he's CB1. Jermod McCoy, I still have as CB2, even though he missed this year with an ACL. Avion Terrell, outside nickel hybrid. He could play both. Colton Hood got to be Tennessee CB1 this year with McCoy hurt, and he played pretty well. So he's another guy that could go in the first round. And then, CB5, it's kind of pick your flavor for me. You could go Brandon Cisse. You could go Keontae Scott. You could go D'Angelo Ponce. Scott is just so explosive now. The question is he nickel only? That's what he primarily played at Miami. But so for the Bears, I'm not sure that would be a fit with Kyler Gordon's situation. But those are some corners to keep an eye on. If a guy like McCoy fell because of his ACL and the Bears felt comfortable with his medicals, I would certainly be interested at 25 overall. And look, I think corner is still a bit of a question mark, right? I mean, Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon each missed most of last year with injuries. Tyreek Stevenson's been very up and down. I think this coaching staff, the jury's still out on how they feel about Stevenson overall. You've got Terrell Smith and Zay Frazier re-entering the fold, so we'll see what they can bring to the table. But I do think adding a corner is something that the Bears are probably going to do at some point. And if they do it in the draft, they could do it in the first couple rounds. I mean, they got 4 picks in the top 89. So, my message to you, do not be surprised if the Bears take a corner on day 1 or day 2. And again, round 1 is possible. If the right player is there, and if it's a true BPA situation, like, again, the example of Jermod McCoy falling due to missing this year, if they're comfortable with his medicals, they might say, this is too good to pass up. This is a top 12, top 15 prospect sitting here at 25, kind of like what we discussed with Jordan Tyson, where you're just going pure BPA there. And, to me, if the medicals check out, that's not a bad way to go if you're any team drafting BPA is always a smart decision. How big of a need do you guys think corner is? 1 being not at all, 10 being a huge need. I think it's like a 6 or 7, man. And my producer Colin's laughing in my ear, but I don't think it's such a need that you have to force it. But I do think you need to add a player there to at least compete and to push Tyreek Stevenson, if nothing else. And I'm a Tyreek Stevenson fan, so 6.5, somewhere in there, that's probably where I would land. Okay, Jose, appreciate the super chat. If the Browns get 5 years of draft tradable, who are your players you're willing to trade lots of capital for? For me, it's Will Anderson Jr., Myles Garrett, and that's it. So what Jose is referring to is the Browns proposed a rule change, and this will be voted on at some point. The owners' meetings are coming up, so could be brought to the table then. Currently, you can trade draft picks for the next 3 drafts. In this case, you'd be able to trade picks up to 5 years at a time. So right now, you can trade 2026, 2027, and 2028 draft picks. If this passed, you could also trade 29 and 2030 draft picks. So, I don't know how I feel about the proposal overall. Like, what if a GM just gets reckless? He thinks he's going to get fired, and he just starts making wild trades. So I think you got to be a little careful there. But in terms of, like, guys you'd be willing to make monster offers to, those are certainly a couple. But I also think Myles Garrett, given his age, I don't know if you'd go more than, like, 3 firsts anyway. Now, Will Anderson Jr., like, could you go, like, 3 firsts, a second, and something else? Like, it would be a monster offer. Now, he just got extended. Or did he get extended? No, he's going to get extended. Danielle Hunter got extended. But, yeah, I mean, if this rule passes, you could see – I think the more interesting part of it is, like, would teams start offering, like, 5 firsts and 5 seconds to teams like the Bengals for Joe Burrow? Like, I think the quarterback trade proposals that would happen would be astronomical. So I think that's the more intriguing part. And right now, that wouldn't really directly impact the Bears. Alex Ammerling, Zion Young, and Malachi Lawrence are growing on me. Dane Brugler said the other day that Malachi Lawrence could be a top 25 pick based on what he's hearing. So that's certainly interesting. I think Zion Young fits the Bears really well. Big physical edge. That also is a solid pass rusher. Needs to add some more to his pass rushing arsenal. But I do think he's a guy that I like for the Bears in that range at 25. I still probably like Akeem Messidor a little bit more, but Young is certainly a good player. The problem with Lawrence, A, I think first round's too rich, and B, he's not really he's 6'4", 253, I think is what he measured at the combine. So not small, but not huge either. Zion Young's 6'6", 262, so he's 10 pounds heavier and 2 inches taller, and he's a much better run defender. Malachi Lawrence has a long way to go as a run defender. So, like, A, I don't think that's a starter kit for Dennis Allen, and B, if I'm taking an edge in the first round, unless he's unbelievable as a pass rusher, he needs to be good against the run as well. And Zion Young is that, and so is a guy like, TJ Parker. All right, guys, the merch, it's flying off the shelves. Get in while you can. Chatsports.com/BearsShop. The entire Bears Now merch line is available at chatsports.com/BearsShop. Click and shop today. Link will be in the comments and in the description. If we've ever sold it, it is available. Chatsports.com/BearsShop. That link for you guys in the comments and description of this video. Super chat from Jayon. Hey, Harry, I live in Dallas, and I love that we beat the Cowboys. How do you feel about Kyle Lewis and Deion Burks for Chicago? I haven't talked about Kyle Lewis in a while. He's an intriguing player. I mean, he's like a safety linebacker hybrid. Is he like a sub-package linebacker? I'd be interested to see how Dennis Allen would use him. I think he could give you a guy who could cover tight ends and stuff like that. Is he an every down player? Probably not right away. But with what the Bears did in free agency, could he come in and compete to be like that Sam linebacker? I think that's possible while he continues to maybe develop his body to be a true every down linebacker. Deion Burks is an interesting option. Tested pretty damn well, obviously, out of Oklahoma. OU, right? Is that correct? Yeah. I do think that Ben Johnson is going to try to get some kind of weapon at some point in this draft. I don't know what position it'll be. I don't know when it'll be. But we know Ben Johnson likes his pieces on offense. So even though this will probably be more of a defensive draft, I think at some point you'll see the Bears pull the trigger on a skill player. What was that? 4.34 in the 40. So that's good time for Deion Burks. All right, Nicholas, #Bears. How do you like Avion Terrell? I like him, but if the Bears are looking for an outside corner, I'm not sure he's what a Dennis Allen outside corner is. He's 5'11", 6 foot, 185, 190. He's kind of a nickel outside hybrid type. Good player. I like him, but are you playing press man with him a lot? I'm not sure you are. So if to me, if he's there at 25, it's pretty good value. Like, I think he's a top 30-ish type of player in the draft, but I don't know if you're like dropping everything for him. Like, I don't know if he checks enough boxes for what you're looking for. Subscribe to the channel. We go live multiple times per week in the off season. Of course, we go live for every single game during the season. We're also dropping content daily here on this channel. So lock us in, subscribe. We got you covered. All right, Jared. Who are some of the free agent safeties left that you would like the Bears to sign? Let me pull up the list real quick. My handy-dandy list right here. We got, you've got guys like Kyle Duggar, Donovan Wilson, Taylor Rapp, Xavier Woods, the guy Chuck Clark. The guys that are still out there are probably guys you can get after the draft. So I think you let the draft come, and you try to get one in the draft, which to me is the ideal scenario, which is what I've said all offseason. Sign a safety, draft a safety. Those are your starters. And if the draft just doesn't fall your way, there's always guys after the draft you can pick up that can at least be serviceable starters. So that's the approach I would take. There's enough guys left that there should be a few of them still available after April's draft. All right, Alex Gentry, would you rather have denied Dennis Sutton with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren or Zion Young with A.J. Halsey? That's a good question. I'd be happy with either of those scenarios, to be honest. I don't know if I just love one more than the other, because I like McNeil-Warren better than Halsey, and I like Young better than Dennis Sutton. So, to me, that's kind of tomato-tomato. I think you'd be pretty happy either way. I like all four of those players. If you come away with one edge, one safety, I think the safety starts and the edge is probably at worst your edge 3 behind Booker and Sweat. So, I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I think you're checking your boxes there if you came away with one of those combinations. Okay, will the Bears be better or worse in 2026? Type B for better, W for worse. I think they're going to be better, and the reason why is I trust this coaching staff, and they showed in 1 year how they can develop talent. So even though the Bears weren't recklessly spending in free agency and going for broke, I just think a lot of their young talent is going to continue to ascend. I think they'll hit on a couple of draft picks, and if they do, they should be in good shape. Okay, a few more here. Rogue Agent, what do you think about drafting Mike Washington Jr. if he's there in the 3rd round? Feels like that's kind of his range now. Pre-combine, he was a guy. I want it on the record. I liked him before the combine, and then he blew up the combine. So it kind of feels like in a weak RB draft, he's probably going day 2. I don't think 2nd round, but probably in the 3rd. If he's there at 89, that's probably pretty good value at this point. Because the Bears are picking late in the 3rd round. So, like I said, Dennis Allen's going to get himself, an offensive toy at some point. Like, if he's sitting there at 89, is that guy, right? Explosive runner. He has everything you want to me. Can improve in pass protection, but most backs these days can. He does have a bit of a fumbling issue. That's, the one, deterrent to me in his game, but he'll run you over, he'll run around you, he'll make you miss, he can catch the football, he runs a decent route package out of the backfield for a running back. I don't know if you're lining him up in the slot, but he can run flares, wheels, Texas routes, that type of stuff, screen game. So, I really like him. If he's there at 89, I would not be disappointed if they drafted him. All right, last one here. Alex Tucker, is it possible to do a fan of the year /season this season? Winner gets a jersey or a day at Chat Sports. Could certainly look into something like that. And I don't know if my guy Michael Horowitz is watching, but He's obviously been very generous over the years. So he and I have been talking. We're going to get him on at some point, hopefully before the draft, but if not, sometime after the draft. And he'll chop it up with us for a little bit, so that'll be fun. But yeah, we'll look into something like that, Alex. I like that idea. All right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. If we didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. Got to as many as we could. But you know where to find me, at HGramNFL, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, also Facebook.com/HGramNFL. I'm almost at 1,000 followers. If you want to follow me over there on Facebook, I would appreciate it. Daily content on those platforms as well. All right, Cullen Draft Crush number 12. I'll be honest, I have not heard of this guy, so take it away, my friend.
Nate Borkacher is how you pronounce this name for those of you who were wondering at home. I think it just in terms of blocking tight ends, this is clearly a day 3 kind of prospect. You can see his receiving production. It's not the greatest. However, if you're the Bears and you're sitting there, you want a Durham Smythe replacement, somebody that you can put in whenever you kind of have bigger packages, or if you just want somebody that, again, you trust more as a blocking tight end, I think Nate Borkacher arguably is the best blocking just tight end in this draft class.
Okay.
Really thrives in the run blocking area. Has some work to do as a pass protector in terms of technique and stuff, but he's a willing pass protector. Just a guy that thrives in terms of just being able to kind of overcome and, really work his way. He was a former let me see. Maybe make sure I have my notes here. Yeah, he was a former second-team All-State basketball player, so he has really good footwork. He has kind of a natural feel there in the field. Originally started at Nebraska, where he was redshirted, eventually made his way to Texas A&M, and again, just a real grinder. Punishing as a run blocker, just somebody that really sure-handed with the ability to, whenever he does get targeted in the passing game, he does tend to reel in a lot of receptions.
Only 2 career drops, 1 last year.
Yeah. Releases and scoops, linebackers, he really finishes blocks as well, too. PFF, I believe, had him as the highest graded tight end blocker last season.
72 as a run blocker. It's pretty damn good for a tight end. Let's see what he graded as a pass blocker. Yeah. 64.5, so it's still solid.
Yeah. Needs a little more anchor in terms of just having that at the next level going up against, you maybe asked chip edges or maybe even, dare I say, block edges one-on-one some of the time.
Had Komet do that some last year.
So he'll need to improve his anchor. But I do think that he is a guy that, as a day 3 prospect, somebody that you're looking as a Durham Smythe replacement, this is the guy that I kind of just landed on. He's a stud, man.
Size 6'5" and a half. This is from the combine, so
yeah, maybe a little
that was his A&M probably bio there. 6'5" and a half, 245.
Yeah.
32 and 5/8 inch arms at the combine, which probably means closer to 33 because they were measuring on the shorter side. It seems like 10.5 inch hands. So don't let him get his hands on you. Those are some paws right there. Lance Zierlein, who I think puts out pretty good stuff. Graded him at 6.17, good backup with the potential to develop into a starter. So he compared him to Tyler Conklin. That's pretty good comp, I'd say. If you get this guy on day 3, good blocker. So I like that. Any chance he falls to the 7th or probably not?
Possibly. Yeah, you never know with day 3 guys. Day 3 is all about, drafting who you love and the upside, and I do think he's probably somebody that he's going to be around the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets to the 7th, I'm not sure. But I do think he's firmly a guy that will get drafted. He'll have a role in the NFL. And if he commits to, becoming the best blocking tight end that he can be, which I have no doubt that he will be able to do that, I think he's got a decent career in the NFL ahead of him. So,
all right. Nate Borkacher. Texas A&M.
Yeah, had a really nice touchdown grab against Notre Dame and kind of a walk-off since almost.
That was a hell of a game. It's one of the games of the year early on. Love it. So that's 12 in the books. Where should we go next?
Yeah, y'all let me know.
Which position?
We did get a couple super chats here that we can kind of roll through, but
yeah, you guys let us know which position while we answer these super chats. Good stuff there on the breakdown. Bear Down for Life, $5. would you trade Swift and the 25th pick to the Dolphins for Achane and 98? That's an interesting one. I'd think about it. I mean, you're basically, if Achane in a vacuum is worth like, I don't know, is he the 50th pick? You're basically trading 25 for 50 and 98. I mean, that's probably close to the ballpark. Miami might be coming a little ahead. But in a draft like this where there's not a ton of true round one grades, I mean, I'd think about it. I'd think about it. Now, it narrows your window of clearing the needs you have, right? Like, you got to get a starting safety somehow. Right. Whether it's in the draft or some like stopgap option after the draft, like you got to check that box if nothing else. So I think picks, but you would have, you'd still have 57, 60, 98, or 89, 98, and 129. So, I mean, you would think you could find a safety with one of those picks. So I'd think about it. Would you guys do that trade? Y for yes, in for no in the chat. You guys let me know.
Alex says wide receiver. We can do wide receiver.
All right, we can go receiver again.
I can do a later one. I did Kevin Coleman already, but
I think receiver's a position to watch still. I mean, I think they've got 4 guys that are fairly safe to make the team with Rome, Luther, Khalif Raymond, and Jade Walker, but the only other 2 on the roster are futures contracts, J.P. Richardson and Maurice Alexander. Maybe one of those guys makes the team, but you're definitely going to add more guys, at least, if nothing else, for training camp purposes. You're going to have closer to 10 receivers for training camp. So, okay, Dennis, appreciate the 5. Served my last day in the military. Round of applause to Dennis. Birthday on Friday. W's in the chat. I'm free. Shout out to Dennis. Appreciate your service, and good luck to what's next, man. Good luck to what's next. I didn't know you were in the military, so I appreciate that.
Dennis, congrats to you. I've had a few friends that have served in the military. We're always very appreciative of what you guys do. I put the HVDs down below. Get the HVDs and the dubs in the chat. Get the dubs in the chat.
Dubs in the chat for Dennis.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Shout out, Dennis.
I think you mentioned, I don't want to just put your business out there, but I think you mentioned that you were in the Marine Corps.
Oh, badass. I don't think I have the mental toughness to be a Marine.
No, not even close.
And certainly not the physical.
And I say that with, reverence to somebody who can. Like my best friend who's served in the military was a Marine stationed out in California.
Okay.
Could not do it.
Yeah, it's
could not do it.
Takes a lot. So shout out to Dennis. Happy early birthday too. Hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. Be the day before. So
yeah, you're always a real one checking in. So
congrats, my guy. I didn't know you served. So
if you don't mind me asking, where did you serve, Dennis?
Yeah, did you bounce around? What's the sitch?
Yeah,
if you don't want to answer too personal, no worries.
Yeah, if you don't want to answer that, you don't have to. But either way, congrats, that you made it through the military, and appreciate your service. And happy early birthday, man. Happy early birthday.
Appreciate you, Dennis. All right, we got one more segment here. It is Mock Draft Monday after all, so let's dive into our latest mock. By the way, have you seen the Jackson Smith and Jigba cap hits by year, Cullen?
I didn't see the cap hits by year. I saw some of the oh, you were in Pendleton.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, my buddy was out in Pendleton.
Oh, okay.
Wait, okay.
You may have to DM him.
DM me, Dennis. I'm going to ask you some questions in the DMs. Because I had a buddy that literally was out in Pendleton. I'm not trying to give away your stuff, but.
All right, cap hits by year for JSN. $10.3 million this year. So they're using these next 2 years to their advantage. $15.6 million in 27. 32.9 in 28, 36.5 in 25, 48.8 in 30, 50.3 in 31, but there's an out after 2029 with only $19 million dead cap, so you could say basically $30 million. Yeah. So his cap hit, while the contract is reasonable and you can't really get out of it, never reaches what he got on the extension of $42 per year. So this is relevant-ish to Bears fans because, like, I think what the Seahawks did with JSN, the Bears should take the same approach with Darnell Wright. Pick up the fifth-year option and then give him a 4-year extension that you can space out over 6 years because you can manage the cap hits better, and it's not going to bury you on the cap. In the last 2 years, the cap numbers will look huge. Well, A, the cap's going to keep going up, and B, you'll be able to get out of the contract by then if you need to. So, John Schneider, smart man. Hopefully the Bears take a similar approach with Darnell Wright.
Yeah, and not to mention, too, I mean, you could always extend after that with Darnell.
When those cap hits balloon, and if he's still a good player, you can give him a third contract.
Exactly. Same with Darnell Wright or Jason. But if you're – I was going to ask this question. With Caleb Williams, too, what – because I think based on what you've seen from 2 years, would you be fully willing to give him an extension – like, I'm trying to turn this into a Caleb conversation. Because clearly with Darnell, he's like the level of guy where you're giving.
If he's at least as good as he was last year, which I think that's the floor moving forward, I think you're giving him some kind of an extension. Now, if he's like last year, still inconsistent, I don't think it's like the highest paid in the league conversation, but like you're still probably keeping him and extending him if the price is right. But if he takes a notable step forward, then I think it's like automatic fifth-year option, you're extending him. If you don't have to make him highest paid, great, but if you do, you're still probably willing to do it because you have those 2 extra years to manage the cap hits. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
If he took a step backwards for whatever reason next year, I think you'd probably just play out his 4. I think you'd still probably pick up the fifth-year option. I mean, fucking Bryce Young got his 5th year picked up. He would have to fall off a cliff next year to not at least pick up the 5th year, but I think if his ascension continues, I mean that's a contract that the Bears got to embrace for, and I think they are behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll throw the super chat from NA. So just to firmly just kind of get your thoughts on this, if Caleb just say like stays the level he's at this upcoming year, how much would you be willing to pay him per season?
If he's exactly the same?
Or just, roughly thereabouts.
In the ballpark?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd try to get him sub 50 a year, and if he wouldn't take it, I'd just pick up the 5th-year option and play 2027 out.
Yeah.
You still have firm control. You still have 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it would basically be a 2-year, like, $30 million contract you still have. So, like, if you could get him on a reasonable deal, sub 50 per year, right at 50 per year, if he was good but still inconsistent, sure, like pull the trigger. If not, I think you just play it out. But if he takes a notable step forward, I think you're trying to hammer home a deal. Get the 5th-year option. You got the 2 years to help space out the mega extension that you're gonna have to pay out. So, Nathan, man, I wish DA wouldn't require heavier DNs. R. Mason Thomas and Romello Height are fast off the edge and could add to their frame later. Thoughts? Question mark. Yeah, I mean, look, different schemes ask for different things, right? Like, I'm in the camp of, look, if the player's good enough, you should be able to make it work. So I do think that's a bit of a detriment. I don't know if there's a single guy in this draft, though, that I think is so unbelievable that I'd be like, well, screw your prototype, DA, take him. Like, I like R. Mason Thomas, but is he so, like, if he was, like, bust-proof, he'd be projected as a top 10 pick, not as, like, a top 40 pick. You know what I mean? Right. Like, the example I always go back to is T.J. Watt. If the Cowboys taking Taco Charlton over T.J. Watt. Anybody that watched those guys play knew that T.J. Watt was a better player, but he wasn't a 4-3 prototypical guy. It's like, well, that guy should go top 15 in the draft. And that wasn't just Dallas who missed. That was other teams. But, yeah, I mean, if I'll give an example. If Cassius Howe was a better run defender and the Bears were like, well, he's not our prototype, that would be frustrating. It's like, yeah, I get he's undersized, but he defends the run well, and he's an excellent pass rusher. But he's not that good of a run defender, and he's undersized. So, like, I get the Bears not being all over him. Trying to think of a recent example in recent years of a guy who maybe didn't check some of the physical boxes, but like, the Bears could have missed out if they didn't take him. I'm sure there's examples out there, but
I'm just trying to remember from last year.
Like, he wouldn't have been there when they picked anyway, because they traded out. But like, what did Will Anderson measure at the combine? Let's see. He was 6'3.5", 253. So like, could that have been an example? Like, well, he's not 6'5" and he's not 265, so like he doesn't check our box. Like, yeah, he's also just dominant.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's that example in this draft, but I do think when you're too like specific, you can get into trouble on those things. But I also don't know like if there's that guy in this draft that could be in range at 25. I mean, maybe they don't love Akeem Mesidor, but also it's like, well, there's also an age and injury factor there.
There is.
So, all right, let's get into Mock Draft Monday. We'll see who I've got the Bears selecting today. Let's dive into it. The 2026 NFL Draft is less than a month away, and we are back with another Bears mock draft. It's 8.0 with trades. Got a few trades cooked up in this mock. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. Just a quick reminder on the Bears Draft Capital as of now. They got the 25th pick in round 1, 2 second-rounders, 57 and 60. Got the 89th pick in round 3, 129 in the 4th round. No picks as of now in the 5th or 6th round. And then you got those 2 7th-rounders, 239 and 241 overall. Our March subscriber battle is ongoing. Raiders Report, they've had a month, but we have 2. But let's close that gap. If you want free and daily Bears content, if you want to take down Mitchell Renz and the Raiders Report, hit that subscribe button. We still got some time. Okay, trade alert. I'm going to trade back just a few spots here at 25. Both Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and Dylan Thieneman were gone, so I looked for a trade down. Chiefs came calling. I moved down to 29, pick up an early 4th rounder, 109 overall. I would maybe want a slightly higher pick, but on the draft value chart, it's actually a pretty even trade. And late in round 1, in a draft like this might be the type of trade you're looking at, especially if teams know you kind of want to trade down. So I'd still be okay moving down 4 spots, picking up a pick just outside the top 100 to do so. And then Zion Young's still on the board, so I'll take him, the edge out of Missouri. I think he's could go as high as the early 20s and as low as, early day 2. There's a bit of a variance on his range, but I just think he checks a lot of boxes. Very productive this past year. You see the TFLs. Still was pretty productive as a pass rusher. 52 pressures, 6.5 sacks there for Missouri. He graded out well per Pro Football Focus. The pass rush win rate is good at over 17%. His run stop rate was among the highest among edge rushers in college football this past year. Just south of 10% is an excellent number for an edge rusher. That's a good number for a defensive tackle for what it's worth. Matt Miller, who we mentioned on a show recently, he was the guy linking Colston Loveland to the Bears last year. Not many people were. He's mentioned Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and Zion Young as 2 guys that he would keep an eye on and that who he would like as fits in Chicago. Doesn't mean just because he linked a guy last year to the Bears that he'll be on top of it this year, but there's been enough Zion Young buzz at this point that I think there is a real interest there, and the physical check marks are there. 6'6", check. North of 260, check. 33-inch arms, long enough. And by the way, that's combine measurements. A lot of guys at their pro days are measuring about a half-inch longer, so probably more like 33.5. Those check the Dennis Allen measurements. I like that he's been pretty productive as well. And just of note, both the safeties that I think Chicago would really like were gone at 25. So if that's the case, I'd be looking at a trade down. I'd be trying to trade down. Even if I don't get incredible value, Bears don't have picks in the 5th or 6th round. So you pick up an extra 4th here. It gives you more optionality later in the draft. Move down 4 spots to do so. Still get a player that the Bears like and that I like. I like the value there to get Zion Young at 29. Okay, round 2, pick number 57, Traden Stukes, a guy I have not talked about on this program. He's pretty interesting. I've looked into him a little bit now, and the way he tested at the Combine caught my attention. Good production at Arizona this past year, 4 picks, 6 breakups. You like the ball production there. His coverage grade per PFF was fantastic as well. He's a fascinating prospect because, and we'll look at it in a minute, his measurements to me kind of like scream Dennis Allen outside man coverage corner. He's built like that, but he played primarily nickel and safety in college, that strong safety spot in particular, which would be interesting as well. Like, could you put him next to Kobe Bryant on the back end, and that's your answer at safety? Do teams view him as more of a slot corner? Do some teams, especially the Bears with his measurements, and I think some of his skill set, could you play him at outside corner? Now, that's a bit of a risk because he didn't do a ton of that in college, but I think he has a lot of the traits that suggest he can do that. You see here the size, over 6'1", good enough weight there, 4.33 in the 40. This guy's built like an outside press man corner. He's strong. He's got long arms, almost 33 inches, which for a corner is very, very good. So I'm pretty intrigued by him. I do think, even if you don't think he's like a true outside corner, day 2 here, he's got enough versatility and an athletic profile where it's like, hey, bring him in. Dennis Allen loves versatile defensive backs. We will find a spot to get this guy on the field. And by the way, I love Kyler Gordon, but he gets banged up a lot. He could be like your backup nickel if he starts elsewhere. So I just think he brings a lot to the table. He's a willing run defender, so maybe he just does play kind of a roaming safety role. That's certainly a possibility. Good in man, good versus zone. Now, he is a 6-year college player, so he's a little bit older, so you've got that, but it's day 2. I'm okay with that. The Bears want and need versatile defensive backs, and he is that. And I do think he could play outside corner in the NFL. So maybe just bring him in, let him compete at a few different spots, see what the best role for him is, and go from there. Okay, 3 picks later, Grayson Halton, the defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Now, the way the Bears attack defensive tackle in free agency, Neville Gallimore, James Lynch, and Kentavious Street, all are kind of classic depth Dennis Allen rotation D-tacks, lighter, quicker interior pass rushers from rotation pieces. So I think they've covered themselves off where if the right guy isn't available, they're not going to force the issue at defensive tackle in the draft. But I think Grayson Halton checks a lot of those boxes. Dennis Allen likes quick, explosive interior pass rushers that are between 290 and 310. Grayson Halton is kind of that to a T. Plays at around 295 at Oklahoma. They did rotate a lot there, so the production was not dominant by any means, but he graded out well. Again, he's a lighter, quicker defensive tackle. Ran a sub 4.9 in the 40, which is an excellent time for a defensive tackle. It kind of reminds me of Neville Gallimore, who also came out of Oklahoma. I'm intrigued by this guy. And he defended the run really well despite being lighter, which is another thing that the Bears need. They need guys who can defend the run, both on the edge and in the interior, free up your linebackers and Devin Bush and company to, fill the alley and make plays. So that pass rush win rate for a defensive tackle, good number, over 10%. Run stop rate, over 10%, really good number as well. So I do think this is one of a handful of defensive tackles in the first few rounds that if he's there, I think the Bears would at least consider it. They're not going to force it. I don't think they're going to take the Dante Corleones of the world, the 330-pound nose tackle types. That's not what Dennis Allen likes. There's a reason there was whispers in training camp last year like, could Andrew Billings be off this team? That's not really the type of player Dennis Allen covets on a defensive line, which is why he signed elsewhere with Arizona. So Grayson Halton, second round, I think that's a name to monitor. Name a player you want on day 2, whether it's in the second or third round, someone you think that would fit this football team well. Go ahead and drop his name in the comments below. Okay, Logan Jones, I think in a lot of these mock drafts moving forward, that third-round pick, 89 overall, whether it's Logan Jones, Sam Heck, Jake Slaughter, who I mocked, I think last time or 2 mocks ago, those are names you're going to hear thrown around for the Bears as a guy you bring in, sit a year behind Garrett Bradbury, and potentially take over in 2027. He's a zone center, graded out well in outside zone in that run game. He's very athletic. There's a lot of centers that check the boxes of what the Bears are looking to do, especially in the run game. He actually graded out well as a pass blocker as well, despite being undersized. And that can be a bit of a misleading stat for centers because they do get a lot of help from guards. So take that for what it's worth. But this is more of an athletic, on-the-move center than like a true gap center, and the Bears ran the third most outside zone in the NFL last year. So I think they'll continue that theme, which – with the Garrett Bradbury pickup, I think that's a direct indicator of that because Bradbury doesn't work in a gap scheme. Logan Jones, more of a zone center as well. Bringing a guy like this, redshirt him, learn the offense. It's very complicated. You need a cerebral center in a Ben Johnson system, potentially be ready to take over in 2027. I think that's kind of the ideal kind of path here. Bradbury holds it down for a year. You got a rookie as a quality backup who's developing for a year and is ready to take over in 27. That, to me, that's the perfect outcome. All right, guys, more on the mock draft, but real quickly, we've got some merch available. The Bears Now t-shirts, just kind of clean, classic, available in navy and black. Check out the link in the comments and description of this video, chatsports.com/bearshop. You got the Iceman 18 t-shirts and hoodies. The FGB line is available, t-shirts and hoodies as well. The Beers hat and shirts are all there. It's all available at chatsports.com/bearshop. Click and shop today. Link is in the comments and description. Okay, Zakee Wheatley still sitting there in the 4th round. I think he goes day 2, but he didn't test all that well, especially in the 40. Now, I think he plays a little faster than this. They played him in coverage a lot at Penn State. Now, is he a guy that can hold up in single high looks in the NFL? I'm not sure, but I think in 2 safety drop back looks, which a lot of teams run nowadays, he can hold his own. He is a willing tackler in the run game. Can he be a Jaquan Brisker who's a little better in coverage? I think that's certainly possible. I think also this kind of hedges your bet on Stukes a little bit, who moved around. If you explore with him at outside corner and he works there, maybe he sticks there and Wheatley gives you another starting caliber safety option next to Kobe Bryant. I do think if you draft Traden Stukes and you don't draft another defensive back, there's a bit of a risk there because Stukes, while he has versatility, it's unclear where he will play right away in the NFL, whereas with Wheatley, he's going to be a safety. Like, that's going to be his position. So I think in the 4th round, it's great value. I think in the 3rd round, it's still pretty good for him as well. You pick up 109 in that trade from Kansas City, so you have an extra bullet to attack the secondary. Okay, Marlon Klein, the tight end out of Michigan. I think one of the better blocking tight ends in this draft. Played with Colston Loveland for a few years at Michigan. You see them both right here. This year he got to take on more of a responsibility in the passing game. I'll pull up his numbers real quick. I think he had like 400 or 500 yards this year, so he developed as a pass catcher. Has pretty good size as well. 24 catches, 248 yards this year, had a touchdown. Those were all career highs for him. So, the Bears need that tight end 3 after losing Durham Smythe to Baltimore. And bringing in a guy that Loveland's play with can come in, do the dirty work as a blocker, and, he can at least run checkdowns and stuff through him. I think that would work. And, somewhere on day 3, attacking that role could make some sense. And I think there's still some developmental upside here. So as Cole Kmet gets older, maybe he's a guy that could be your tight end 2 down the road. Okay, another trade. How about a player trade? TJ Edwards to Dallas. Bears get a 5th-round pick, 152 overall. I trade one of the Bears' 7th-round picks to Dallas, 239 overall. So, essentially you're moving up almost 90 slots on day 3 to ship out TJ Edwards, who I like, but is coming off a fractured fibula, not the fastest, most athletic linebacker, and we know that's a goal for the Bears this offseason, and with the moves they've made up to this point, they have tried to do just that. You brought back Jack Sanborn, who is a quality depth piece, so, you've got the option to move TJ Edwards, especially if the Bears do draft a linebacker, which I haven't as of yet, but stay tuned. Should the Bears trade TJ Edwards? I want to hear from you guys. Type Y for yes, type in for no. And again, if they do, they save $6.2 million in salary cap space. You essentially can use that money to pay your draft class. So, you could think of it that way. Hey, this pays for your draft class if you trade TJ Edwards, which frees up extra money elsewhere for in-season spending or whatever the case may be. and then let's draft a replacement. May not be a starter right away, but I do think has starting upside. Caleb Elarm-Zor, round 5, pick number 152. I think one of the biggest winners at the Combine. Probably entered the Combine as like a late day 3, maybe a UDFA type of player. Bit of an unknown out of TCU who was the starter there the last couple of years. I thought he played really well this year for the Horned Frogs. As an alum, I watched every game, and he was arguably the best player on their defense. He was really good. And then he tested extraordinarily well. One of the better testing linebackers in recent memory. You see the sub 4.5. The explosion drills are really good. He can cover. I like the way TCU used him as like a blitzer too. And we know Dennis Allen likes to blitz linebackers some as well. I mean, he was doing it with like TJ Edwards, who's not that athletic, and Elarm-Zor can really get downhill. He can also cover. 4 sacks last year, tackling machine, 11 TFLs. He was awesome and really athletic, good enough size there. You tried Ruben Hippolyte last year. I think this guy, from a tape standpoint, was better for TCU this year than Hippolyte was at Maryland. So, you bring him in. Can one of those guys hit for you? 4th, 5th round pick. Special teams should be able to do that. I thought that with Hippolyte. That for 1 year has not worked out. So, jury's not out on Ruben. But if you trade TJ Edwards, you probably have one linebacker spot to fill. A guy like Caleb Elarm-Zor, I think, checks a lot of the boxes the Bears are looking for. And then you got the 7th round pick left. Jordan Hudson out of SMU. He was a huge recruit. Ironically, also was at TCU as a freshman, was on that national title team. Then he transferred to SMU and kind of up and down production, but he has a lot of upside. Throw a dart here in the 7th round. Maybe you get him with a receiver coach like Antoine Randall. You can get the best out of him. For whatever reason, it never fully clicked at SMU, but he was a former 5-star recruit. Came into the NFL with a lot of came into college football with a lot of potential. So, 7th round, to me, you're taking a swing on upside, or you're like attacking a specific role. I think this is just an upside swing. Let him compete for a roster spot. All right, that's going to do it for Bears Mock Draft 8.0. Give me your thoughts down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're pumping out at least one mock per week the rest of the way. We are less than a month away from the NFL Draft. So lock us in and subscribe and bear down. All right, there you have it. Just trying to pull up Hudson's stats on the fly there. My computer kind of bugged out. Let me see if I can get some numbers here. So this year, he had his best year. 61 grabs, 766, 6 touchdowns, 21 career touchdowns. So it's not like he's done nothing in college, but he never touched 500 yards before this year. So for how big of a recruit he was, he never quite put it all together. But 7th round, a guy with upside. I don't know if he went to the Combine. Let me see. He was a huge recruit.
Let me know down below, what was your favorite pick from Aria's most recent mock draft? 8.0.
8.0. Don't think we're hitting 25 like we did a few years ago, but double digits.
That is the bar.
Double digits. Come on, NFL.com. What are we doing? Trying to get his combine testing. He was there. You want to get some shout-outs? What's the chat saying?
Sure. I got Chris saying it was a C draft. We got Tom saying a B-. Xavier Soup A-. Mikey saying, I like the Stooks pick. I picked him in a couple of mocks. Soup saying best one yet, to be honest. I got Zane saying B+. Ron saying B. Tim saying B. Stooks is the favorite pick. The trade back from 25 to 29 for Zion Young. We got B. We got Stooks.
Looks like he did not run at the didn't work out at the combine. 6'1", 191. What's his name? Lance Erline graded him at a 6.1. Traits to be a high-quality backup.
I'll just refresh.
I think that checks out.
I'll refresh everybody who's just joining. This is Harry's mock draft. In the first round, he traded back in order to secure Zion Young. I picked up an extra 4th-round pick that the Bears used on Zakee Wheatley that you say there on the right of your screen. They also picked up Treydon Stooks, who's a versatile defensive back out of the University of Arizona, former walk-on who eventually earned his way to being a captain as Harry mentioned in his mock, 6-year college player, but somebody that can play multiple positions and might be an interesting play at outside corner, not slot where he played.
I think that's just an opportunity, like at OTAs, like, hey, let's see what this guy looks like as an outside corner, because I think he's got the traits to be one, especially in this scheme. But Arizona didn't really ask him to do that, so I'd be intrigued at getting him out there and seeing what he looks like. Do you think in this mock the best value pick is Wheatley in the 4th round, considering he could be a starter as a rookie?
Very well could be. And if you're somebody that you pair him next to Kobe Bryant, you have maybe Stooks, in your hypothetical sense, would be the outside corner, which I haven't really seen that possibility been thrown out by scouts or anything. But
I haven't really either. I just to me, the testing, the size, the ball production, I think he could do it. Now, there's some – I don't think you draft him and it's like, hey, you're an outside corner, that's it. I think it's like, hey, we know at worst he can be like a safety nickel hybrid. He's done that. Let's experiment some with him in the spring and summertime, give him some reps at outside corner. And if that's not his thing, that's not his thing. But, you still need a safety so he could check that box. Your nickel corner, as good as he is hurt a lot. So he could be, 3 safety looks he could play. Maybe he is a starting safety. He hedges for Kyler Gordon. So I think you would have a role for him no matter what.
For sure. Someone's asking in the chat, was Peter Woods off the board when he took Zion Young?
I think he was. I X'd it out here. I don't have it. I also don't – I wouldn't hate that pick, but I've just cooled on defensive tackle in round 1. Sure. I don't love any of them enough. I think he was gone, though. I'd say I'd have to check. I can't check anymore because I X'd out of it, but I do think he was. But can't say for 100% certainty.
Yeah, I do like Logan Jones in the 3rd round. I think he's going to be pure developmental center, like you mentioned. Grayson Holton, his stock has completely risen. The fact that you're willing to take him at the end of the 2nd round, which you're not the only one that said that. He was a guy early on in this draft process was like a pretty hey, he's a day 3 guy. He has really risen the ranks in that defensive tackle room, and like you mentioned, he fits the Dennis Allen prototype.
I also think I wonder if he's a guy that goes earlier than expected because he's a little lighter. Do some teams play him some at edge? And not many of these defensive tackles flashed as pass rushers in college. He did. So,
sure.
Teams are looking for those interior pass rushers, and he also defended the run pretty well. So, I think him just being a different type of prospect than a lot of the defensive tackles in this draft could be a benefit for him, even if, the overall profile may not be better than certain guys. We'll see. Yeah, I think he's firmly day 2 guy. It'd be great at 89. I would love that. I just think he's going to be gone by then. So
a day 3 defensive tackle. Do I want to save this as my draft crush? I probably there's another guy that kind of fits that similar mold as Grayson Holton. He's just probably more of a guy that goes on day 3.
Okay.
That if the Bears kind of sit there and for whatever reason, like they just said, defensive tackle, we're not drafting the first 3 rounds or whatever. I got a guy that I think would be an interesting option.
Okay.
They're on day 3.
We can save that as a Cullen draft crush. I like that. All right. Well, shout out to the chat for being here. Yeah. This was fun.
Shout out.
We're back on our normal live schedule. We'll be live Thursday as well, so lock us in. Of course, plenty of content between now and then. 1 month till the draft. It's come quick. I feel like we just had the draft.
Yep. Let us know down before we get out of here. Favorite Bears draft pick of all time.
Ooh, I like that.
Let us know before y'all get out of here.
Let me know.
Or before we get out of here. And y'all
get a few shout outs, then we will get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bears just tweeted something. It was just a retweet of Elijah Hicks re-signing.
Imagine it's like trade.
We have traded for Budda Baker. I don't think they're doing that.
Breaking: Max Crosby has been traded to the Bears.
We actually traded for Max. Could you imagine if Max got traded again and it was just the team trading for him, but we just traded for Max Crosby. Physical passed.
Physical has passed. All right, we got Caleb, we got Urlacher, Greg Olsen, Kevin White. Not gonna lie.
Kevin White, that's fucked.
Urlacher, Loveland, Butt kissing Sayers. Justin Fields, Kyler Gordon, and Jaquan Brisker.
At the time, I loved the Fields pick, man. Loved the Fields pick. Still don't think, like, looking back, it was like some bad decision. Just didn't work out. Didn't work out.
All right.
All right, we are out of here. Shout out to the real ones for being here. It's a new week. More content to come. We'll see you guys soon. Bear down.